Sure, let's start then. I would like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Interviews That Make an Impact, Tips for Our Virtual Age. And today our speakers are Keith Scott and Rebecca Klein-Scott from Tall Small Productions. And before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Tülay Flamant. I'm an assistant professor in the Division of Economics and Business at the Colorado School of Mines. And today I'm talking as the chair of the Informed Student Affairs Committee. Informed Student Affairs Committee develops and supports activities related to informed student members, such as competitions or webinars like this event. And today's webinar is also sponsored by the Informed Student Affairs Committee. So I would like to mention that before we start. So I also would like to let you know about some specifics related to the webinar. All attendees are muted, but you can unmute yourself if our speakers ask for interaction. And if you have any questions, you can use Q&A button to post your questions. And if your questions have already been asked, you can upvote those questions by clicking on the thumbs up. And you can actually post your questions anytime during the webinar. All questions will be answered at the end. And this webinar will be recorded and shared sometime later. And as the chair of the Informed Student Affairs Committee, I would like to introduce Keith and Rebecca. They co-founded Tall Small Productions together with the mission of helping people feel comfortable with public speaking and learn to communicate in a more concise, engaging, and clear way. They have been working with informed students for a while now. I think this is the third year in a row. And they lead communications, training sessions, and private workshops on career coaching, interviewing, negotiation, navigating tough conversations, and developing confident presence. And they are also working with students in Maryland, leadership teams from public schools all around the US, associations, and also government organizations. They're also making frequent TV appearances, also weighing in on the impact of communication in politics, daily life, and news. So I'm really excited to hear their presentation. Please join me welcoming in Rebecca and Keith.
Not for ourselves.
It's yours now.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your warm welcome.
Yes, that means a lot to us. And we have to show you because you're not standing in the room with us. And today you might think I'm the tall one out of Tall Small Productions because I'm sitting on a stool that's about 2 feet higher than Keith, but this is the reality.
This is the reality. As I stand up, no one can see my head. And so you get a real understanding of why we are called Tall Small and why we came up with that name and fits, and people remember us everywhere. But we're excited to be here today. And one of the things we always notice when we were out and about at conferences, going and delivering classes, when we walked into a building and walked past a reception desk or walked past a security desk, we'd hear these whispers, as though tall folks can't hear anybody whispering about them.
And there is some truth to that. Keith has been known to nod along when it's a bunch of us 5'2" people talking.
Exactly. But the fact is, we hear these whispers. So let me sum it up really, really quick. 6'9", and I never played basketball because Rebecca kills me on the court.
And I have zero athletic ability. But what I do have is at 5'2", which is true to my maiden name Klein, which means small in German. I can stand in all of Keith's blind spots, and it's lots of fun on the basketball court and everywhere else. But enough about us. We want to know from you, and this is the time to unmute yourselves because this is going to be an interactive workshop. We want to know what words come to mind when you hear that you are going to do a virtual interview. What words come to mind? Shout them out, pop them in the chat box. We want you to share.
What words come to mind when you hear virtual interview? Good, bad, or indifferent? Someone throw something out there. Chat box, speak it out loud. Whoa.
Inorganic, terrible. What else? Awkward.
Awkward.
Different.
Different. Stress. Feel free to also shout it
Yeah,
out.
scary.
Connectivity issues.
Yes.
Oh, that is a huge one. Camera angles.
All things we'll be covering today.
Absolutely. Well, you just
Unique.
We hadn't written a course for this, so we needed some material. This
Exactly.
is perfect. Thank you. Some kind of fantastic training. What's behind me? Well, that might be kind of scary.
Oh, yes. Confusing with mixed signals. Yes. Human connection. And one of the reasons where to look, that's a big one too, because a lot of times people end up doing this and talking the whole time and you're wondering, what are they looking at?
How many people have noticed that? Let's have one voice out there. Yes. There must be one voice out there that wants to talk.
Imagine an invisible wall, eye contact, concern, and now for our voice. Who's going to be brave today?
Let's see, 91 participants and not one brave person to talk.
Oh, it's an unmuting issue.
Oh, I don't know if you can unmute.
We give you permission.
You definitely, you can have permission from us to unmute, whether you can achieve it.
I'm looking at this from the host side, and I think I actually have to allow people to talk, it looks like. So can you all raise your hand if you want to talk? Do you see the raise hand button? And I will hit allow.
And there's a good reason that oftentimes virtual interviews feel all of the above, everything you said, from awkward, terrible, scary, stress, fake, because a lot of times something really weird happens when we come on camera to do a virtual interview. A lot of us show as robots and communicate that way.
Many times, unfortunately, people get on the video and they look like they're in a witness protection program because they look scared to death. You only see their face. You don't see the body language. And their understanding of the video is absolute fear, and it's not natural. Do we have someone that wants to comment? Because I'm seeing some things pop up. Tracy, anyone yet?
I'm looking, I have hit a couple allowed to talk.
Yeah, I noticed that we have Tanvir, I'll try to pronounce these.
And Sea Glide.
And Sea Glide. Wonderful.
I'm going to try to actually allow everyone here. I'll change a setting or two if I can.
Wonderful.
And the fastest way to lose that robotic feeling is to introduce yourself. When the interviewer says, tell me about yourself, to say something that doesn't make you sound like a walking, talking resume.
Because here's the situation with interviews, and we have worked with hundreds of people that are going through the interview process. Remember, if they have taken you to the level of the interview, that means they know that you have the skills, typically, to do the job. What they're trying to figure out is, can we work with this person for 40 hours a week? Is this person bluntly going to drive us nuts? Or is this person going to add to our community? Now, that may not sound professional to say, but that is what they are thinking. They're trying to figure out, do you fit in with the culture?
It all comes down to, are you going to add drama or are you going to deliver results? And you know, if you've been brought into the interview, that they are thinking that yes, you'll deliver results, and they want to figure out, is this going to be about drama? Will you be a good fit? And we are going to share with you our secret way of making sure that when you're asked to tell us about yourself, share something, that you are ready to say something that's interesting, engaging, magnetic, and most of all, unscripted. We want everybody to get out a piece of paper and a pen, or you can use your phone, or you can even remember this in your head. You don't have to come up with many words.
And I do notice, Rebecca, one person looks like they're unmuted, Cecile? I believe that's pronounced correctly.
Yeah, that is correct.
How are you today?
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm good. I didn't have anything to say. It's just I was asked by the host to unmute myself. That was it.
Okay.
Well, that is wonderful, and we appreciate that, and we're always amazed how you were able to keep your face so still like that.
But now that you've broken the ice, somebody else we can feel it is going to participate. But right now, we need everybody to grab that paper, use your computer, and if you have pen and paper, we want you to draw a circle on your paper large enough to house a single word.
One word. So draw the circle in the middle of your piece of paper and large enough to draw draw one word, to write one word, or you can draw it.
You can, and if you don't have a piece of paper, you can use your phone, your laptop, or you can remember this word in your head.
And what we're going to do is help you give an introduction. Have you ever been to a meeting, or maybe a business meeting you've gone to, or any kind of meeting, and they tell everybody to go around the table to introduce themselves? I'll give you an example in the business world. And someone will say, well, hi, I'm Bob with Nationwide Insurance. I've had 25 years. I've worked with life casualty, blah, blah, blah. And you think, I cannot listen to another word Bob says, because Bob hasn't told you anything about who he is. He's just telling you about his business. That's it.
And also in a virtual interview, a lot of times when students are asked, tell me about yourself, people will say, well, I major in business and science, I minor in this, and I'm in this club. And that puts you in a pot with about 50 other people doing exactly the same thing. We're going to show you how to stand out.
Because the people that are unique, the people that you remember, you learn something about them. You start to develop a relationship with them. You find a connection. It's like meeting a new friend. You find a connection and you say, oh, you do this and I do this. Wow, we do this together. When you share a common bond, that's when relationships develop. That's when you get hired. What I'm talking about when you get hired is when you develop that relationship. So in the middle of the circle, you are going to write one word and one word only.
And we're going to get really serious for a moment.
Are you saying this is code
Really
serious?
serious, because this word is the one thing that gives you purpose in life. What is that one thing that makes you get out of bed on those days when you really don't want to? What is your reason for existing?
And this does not have to be school related at all. This is, think of it larger than school, larger than work. This is life. Like, what is the reason that you keep on going and pushing ahead? That's the word we want you to put in the middle of the circle.
And you're probably thinking, why would this matter? Why would this matter for an interview? Because what we're creating for you is a set of GPS points that you'll have during any interview. And these GPS points will become points of connection where the interviewer is going to feel as though they connect with you and want to have a relationship with you.
So put down that one word. Go ahead and put that down in the middle of your circle. And we would love to have some verbal contact from somebody. Somebody shout out or let us know what is the word that they put in the middle of their circle.
Ali, what is your word? Ali Ahmed. Somebody cares about family here. Look at that. We have family in the chat box.
There you go. There you go.
Impact.
All right.
I'm unmuted here. I put, sorry, my camera's not working, or I'd have my camera.
It's okay.
That's okay.
I put a phrase, I put making a difference. I know that's not one word, but that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, especially with
It's
work.
okay.
It's
We
okay.
can always bend the rules for you. We can bend the rules.
And
Thank
we
you for
have
sharing.
more in the chat box.
And more in the chat box. Family, happiness, impact. Who else wants to go verbally? Doesn't matter if you have a camera or not. Family, somebody out
Success.
there. Look at us just sitting here waiting for someone. Doesn't someone want to save us?
How about Claire?
I was just about to unmute, so that works.
Look at that,
We
Claire.
sensed it.
We knew it.
We could tell from your smile there.
The word in my circle is people.
People. Good job. People. Why do people keep you going, Claire?
That was a way to encompass everything that gets me out of bed in the morning in one word. So my family, my friends, co-workers, I think it's really important to foster relationships with people. So.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we have the word experiences from Cynthia.
All right. Who else wants to go verbal? Let's call on some people.
We have calling my mom.
Calling my mom. I like that one. We've never heard that before.
Weather.
Weather. So this is raining, you don't get out of bed, I say. All right. How about Jane Coons? Jane Coons. How are you today, Jane?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. What was your word in the middle?
I put knowledge. I'm a grad student and I like doing research, so yeah.
And Jane, we're going to go tall, small on you for a moment here. You said, I put knowledge. Two things happen there, and this is a prime example to watch for in interviews. When we say I put, or I wrote down, or my word is, somehow we're quantifying the word and it takes away some of the strength from it, and you have a wonderful word. You can say knowledge. And that goes for everybody as you're saying your words.
There's also a phrase that people say, and you might say this on interviews, so you need to be careful about this. People say, well, I would say happiness. Well, you're going to say it, so there's no need to say I would say it. What happens is we do that because we think, oh, if I get judged on this, I'm not going to feel too comfortable, so I'm going to say I would say. We need to get rid of that, because what happens is that shows the interviewer a bit of weakness. Let's look at Han Yan. Han Yan. And if I'm butchering a name, I apologize. Han Yan.
Please
Yeah,
correct
you
me.
did a great job. That's my name.
That's what?
I put the word curiosity.
Curiosity.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Or maybe I
have
should
one
say I
more.
pick the word, or I choose the word curiosity.
We're going to shorten it even more, Han. You can say curiosity. We never have to say the word, I chose the word. What happens is a lot of times when people get out of the gate with a phrase such as, well, today I would say, it makes people tune out. You want to get right to the word.
Let's pick another name. I'm going to try to pronounce it, and I'm going to do horribly, and I like to admit that straight up. It's moving around on me. Cheyana Asati. What would you say the same thing? Cheyana Asati is not responding because I'm not saying the name right.
How about Jacob?
Jacob.
And yes, Jacob, we chose you because we can see your photo.
He looks very,
You look like you're about to make a really important point there.
How about Faith Aranuglu? Aranuglu. People really are, I'm not pronouncing things right, am I?
Joaquin. All right, there'll be lots more times.
What's that?
Ambition.
Ambition. Oh,
I like that.
I like that word. Thank you.
And we also have create that's come up. And now what you're going to do in your circle, you have that word in the center. And now you're going to make 4 lines going out of your circle. And on each of these lines, you are going to come up with another word. But these words are not independent words. They're all going to connect back to that word in the center.
So, Rebecca, if this were a recipe, would you say that these words are the
ingredients?
So you have the circle and you got the word in the middle. You can draw 4 lines coming out like a crab or a person. On each line, you're going to write a word that helps amplify the word in the middle, helps develop the word.
Helps make it make sense, adds context to it, because several people here wrote family. Some of you care about your family. And family to one person is going to have a whole different meaning to family to another. These words on the outside help make that word in the center yours.
And feel free to turn your video on if you have it. Although we'd love seeing your still pictures, it would be nice to see real pictures. I mean, real video of people.
And we're going to challenge one person here to be brave. And let's see if we can get a volunteer before we call on somebody. We want one person to share your word in the center and all the words you put around it.
I can share.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And tell us your name.
My name is Han. The word in the center is curiosity.
Okay.
The 4 words around it are challenge, experience, knowledge, and change.
Wonderful. It's nice to talk to you again.
Yes, thank you for
You're one of the
volunteering.
brave people here. Thank you.
Your words are, I want to make sure we have it right, curiosity in the center, challenge, experience, knowledge, and change. And we're going to show you how these words are going to go from being a circle with 4 lines into a head-turning introduction that's going to make people want to know you even more.
And what we're going to do, and this might blow some people's minds, but instead of the typical introduction, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a student here, and I'm studying this, all the same old, same old. And here's the deal. In an interview, you want to come across as someone different, someone that people go, I'm going to remember that person, or that person had a personality or a spark that really is going to make a great fit. So here's what's going to happen. We are going to take all the words that you put on your piece of paper, and we are going to turn them into what we call in the business world a 30-second infomercial.
Or elevator introduction. And this is something that you can use in lots of ways, because when you say these words, everything about you is going to come alive in a different way, because these are the words that keep you going in life. Your eyes are going to get bigger. You're going to magnify everything about yourself, and people are going to want to know even more. Keith is going to take Han's words and weave them into an introduction. We're going to pretend that.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the opportunity.
You're welcome. I'm interviewing Keith, and we're going to show you how you can weave these words together. Keith is going to do it in a way over the top, exaggerated way.
This is a way you would never want to really do it in an interview. But listen, here's the point. You've got to take things way beyond. You got to exaggerate so that when you get to the real stage, you're set to go.
Then you're going to rein it in. But to get this exercise, you have to go to the extreme. Keith, tell me about yourself.
We're back out here at Tall Small, and I'm going to talk about our business, Tall Small Productions. We have curiosity because every day we know there's a challenge out there to find someone somewhere that needs help in being a stronger communicator. We know we have the ability to change people's lives through giving them knowledge on how to get rid of filler words, how to communicate on camera, allowing them to experience a sense of empowerment when they're able to talk what is truly from their heart. I'm Keith Scott with Tall Small Productions.
You are hired.
All right.
We can shake because
we don't have COVID. So here's, but Han, we took all the words that you put on your piece of paper and incorporated them. Was it cheesy? Was it over the top? You bet it was. But the idea is when you say those words, when you use one or two of them even in an interview, people are going to look at you and say, you're real, you're authentic, you're somebody that I can trust.
You're not another resume, a template resume. And these words can also help you when you go to that virtual career fair coming up next month and you're chatting in the chat box, maybe working on setting up interviews or asking questions. A lot of people only use robotic language there too, as well as in emails. And when you put these words in, you rise to the top and stand out.
Questions so far. We saw that in the chat box, everybody has, I believe, the opportunity to unmute themselves. Questions. What about the interview process that have rounds and also the first?
The first one's a jam or a group discussion that gets messy in person, but how to stand out in them. Same thing in a group session, weaving in some of these words, because a lot of people focus on what do they think the interviewer is going to want to hear, and they give canned answers, and people can sniff that out. When you use these words in any answer, you're going to be your most authentic self. And we're going to give Han a chance to try out your introduction for us. Han, are you ready? We bought you a little time there.
Sure, I guess I can try.
Good answer. And we're going to show you. Here's the trick to it. A lot of times people wonder, how can I possibly start? I don't know how to start this introduction.
The key to anything when you're doing public speaking, because so many people have that deer in the headlights, they look and they think, I don't even know how to start this, and they flip out. What you want to do is throw out one of your words. For example, someone asks you a question, Han, tell me about yourself. You could throw out the word challenge. It buys you a couple seconds, pause, and then go into it. But the deal is, once you get something moving, it's easier to move forward. Like if you have a tire stuck in the snow and you get it moving with a little sand, it's easier to get out and become unstuck. But if you do nothing, you just watch the tire, it's not going to do anything. You got to do some kind of action. You got to do something. Throwing a word out is key.
And it prevents you from going into the filler word mess.
Right? It also allows your face and body not to look like you're thinking, I have no idea how to answer this question. Because people sniff that out, and they like, oh, they really don't even know how to start this, do they? You can, if anybody's been keeping up on the political scene, watching the debates, you can tell sometimes certain candidates have no clue how to answer a question.
And this exercise is something that we've done with people for the past 7 years. And a lot of people tell us they keep their circle and their words in their wallet. And it reminds them when they get into any kind of conversation and they don't know what to say, they'll use one of these words as that magical piece to get them going, to get that traction.
Because these are your words. And here's the deal. When you're authentic and use these words, you become authentic to the other person. Guarantee you, when you're authentic, you're going to get hired. You can't not get hired. All right, honey, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I love that.
You are brave. We're going to win the Paul Small Award of the day.
All right, let me try.
If we had one.
My name is Han. I like challenges. I'm always curious about new things, new experience, trying to make new friends. And that's why, since I was a little girl, and I want to change my life, and I came all the way from China to the US to pursue my dreams.
I love it.
Wonderful.
You know, that right there, telling your story, especially your story of coming from China to the US, what it does is it allows curiosity to come from me, the interviewer, thinking, okay, that's got to be an interesting story. Was there a struggle there, difficulty? Look at the effort you took because you wanted to better your life. That allows a person to dig deep, and that makes you interesting.
And then you are controlling the direction that the interview will go, because naturally that person asking you is going to want to know about that struggle. They're going to want to know about your dreams, what led you here, where you want to go. And it gives the interviewer options of what directions they can take, but they're all ones that you're going to know the answers to.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who would like to go next?
Who wants to go next? Who is, now Han has gone. We're going to call on some people here. Let's see. This is a gentleman that I think I would like to go on the top right. Rebecca, do you want to give a stab at Pranessa?
Yes. Swaminathan Ramasamy.
He has a picture of him with a white shirt, black jacket.
And everybody appears in a different order on every.
Yes, it's true. How about Stanley Lim?
Oh, we have a question. What if the words in my circle are not professional? In other words, how do you support happiness and love to start a professional interview? Let's walk through that moment, because the best words that people write for this are the ones that are true for themselves, and it doesn't matter if they're professional or not.
And here's the thing. A lot of people say, well, I have love and happiness, and they're not. Tell me someone in the professional world that outside of the world has never experienced some set of love and happiness. And if they haven't, I can guarantee you don't want to work for them because they're not human beings. And you don't have to say like love of your spouse or love of your dog. You can talk about the love of what you're doing, the love of your scientific inquiry, the love of mathematics, the love of knowledge. You can use the words in different formats.
Love of adding your support to a field that you've always wanted to be a part of, and how that is part of what makes you happiest in life. You can use the words easily that way. All of these words translate to the professional domain.
And here's what they do. They trick the mind. Give you another example. If you're selling cars, let's just throw that example out there, make it easy. And the word in the middle of your paper was family. And you told a customer who came in, I want to show you a new family of vehicles. It doesn't matter that they know you're not talking about your actual family. But when you say it, your eyes, your body, your face, everything resonates authenticity. You are real. And when you are real, people connect. And these words trigger in your mind. When you say happiness or love and use it in a different context, you still become those feelings.
And because people are not used to hearing those words in a virtual setting, because a lot of people become even more robotic than they would be in person, it suddenly helps people forget that there's a screen separating the two of you. We've had people even write down the word faith in the center of the circle, and then they'll say, I can't possibly say faith. I can't bring religion into an introduction. But you can flip the word and talk about having faith in your team, having faith in what the organization is working on, what their goals are.
Vincent Yu, did you want to go ahead and try this? Vincent Yu.
Oh, you're welcome, Mona. How about Mona tries hers?
Mona, you want to try yours?
Because we all know your words. No way. That was not even a flat out rejection. That was
Mona, I love your authenticity there.
Yes,
that was
that's
wonderful.
real.
How about Sophia Becker? Sophia Becker. How are you today, Sophia? People are learning real quick if I don't do anything.
So pretend not to know that you're calling them. Sandeep M.
People are moving around.
He disappeared very quickly.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Trishali.
Somebody who wants to try this out loud. If you don't try it, you're not going to learn it. Come on, be bold today. You do not want to go back in the world and say, I had a chance to work with tall, small, and I gave it up.
And if some of you are feeling as though you don't want to do this in front of the whole big group, we have an offer to make you today.
Only for today.
Only for today. And forevermore. You can record yourself doing this later using your words. You can get our email from Tracy, and we are happy to give anybody feedback on their intros because we feel incredibly passionately about getting more authentic intros out there in interviews and in all situations.
How about Jeffrey Lee? Jeffrey Lee?
How about Faith, since we were talking about Faith before?
Oh, yeah.
Or no, Fatih.
Interesting.
Veronica.
Hi, can I ask a quick question?
Please.
Please, somebody, thank you.
I'm interested in like faculty position, but this kind of introduction applies for those like academic position, because I feel those positions are like it's more conservative, I would say. Sorry, I would say, but so I think this kind of authentic introduction might not be what they are looking for. So I'm not sure if it is okay to use this kind of introduction for academic position interview.
I'm thrilled that you brought up this question.
Absolutely.
Because you're onto something. If you were to talk about hobbies and things you love to do all the way through the interview, you're correct. That would not be appropriate. But people are hiring people, not machines. My dad works in academics, and the stories he comes home and tells us about his students that he's hired for different positions and brought in to be assistants, he always shares something about their story, something about them that makes them unique or stand out. And it's never only about, well, this was what they accomplished or achieved.
Right. Remember, no matter how many doctorate degrees they have, awards, citations, journals that they have been printed in, they are human beings at the core. And they do human-based activities, and they have human feelings and emotions and thoughts. And when you do this, you stand out.
Okay.
Right? Is it sure you can do the conservative route, but I guarantee you're going to be doing a lot more interviewing.
Okay, thank you. I thought I need to talk more about my research instead of my personal stuff. So yeah, thank you for answering this question.
We're not saying talk about your personal stuff the whole interview. You got to break the ice, because they brought you into the interview because they already know you have the skills. See, people don't bring you into a face-to-face or virtual, as we're doing here, interview until they know you have the ability to do it. You see, they know that. What they want to know is, do you fit the community, the culture, research lab, whatever. They want to know, do you fit in?
And what do you have in common with them?
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a quick question. My name is GS. The question has two edges to it. It's a two-pronged question. First is I want to extend the question on what Yuan just asked.
Okay.
So the question is, can this introduction based on a few characteristics or adjectives evolve over time?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last
I
part.
missed that too.
Can this evolve over time? I mean, if I talk about curiosity today, and my situation changes say after 5 years, and I'm applying for a different level, would this introduction evolve? Can the words change? Can I change the
Oh,
words?
Absolutely.
I can change it all times. You can do this every week and change the words.
Sometimes words might be a fit where they're always going to be a fit. What we encourage everybody to do is never use the words the same way. Take whichever one stands out for you at that moment, and it helps you break the ice and get started. You might only use one or two of these words in an interview or a conversation. They also make conversations stand out in email thank you notes, cover letters, but you don't have to use them all the same way every time.
And you can switch it up. And sometimes, we did this exaggerated. We're going to use all the words, but you're not going to do that in an interview. But you're going to use a few to get things moving, forward. And someday you may use them all when you're giving a presentation in front of a huge group, and you want to really emphasize who or what you're about.
And we have a question in the Q&A box saying, I'm an insurance professional looking for a first job switch. What does a recruiter look at? Technical expertise or it being a job fit?
They look at both, but technical expertise is real quick. I mean, they're going to believe whatever you wrote down. I mean, they have no other way except to start validating it through a reference check. But they really want to figure out, do you fit? That's the majority of the job of a recruiter, is fitting into the culture, because you may have the expertise, but if you don't last long enough, that's a huge cost on a business when they have to replace people.
And this is where a lot of people go wrong. We once had an attorney come to us, and he was applying for positions at hospitals all over the country. Recruiters were snatching up his resume, and he was being flown to interviews. And every single time he would get turned down. And the person doing the interview would tell the recruiter, well, he didn't seem authentic. He didn't seem as though he was into the job. No one ever questioned his skills.
No. And the reason being is he always downplayed his ability to move to these locations. When they ask him, would you like to move to Denver? Would you like to move to Portland or move wherever? He said, I don't know. I really like where I live now. I'm not sure if I really like the town, which is really not a smart thing to do. Never downplay where they want you to go. But the fact is, he had the technical. He didn't come across strong in the fit. People didn't think he'd want to live there, stay very long. And so therefore, they decided, we're not going to take this candidate on.
And he had this fear of not being authentic, and he thought he should tell them right then and there that he wasn't positive that location would be it for him, not realizing that first let's get the job and then decide if it's a good fit.
We realize for a lot of people, especially in the academic world, that this may seem but very different, but this gives you the competitive edge to get the job you want. I mean, you can go back to the way everybody does it, but then your chances are slim. This is a chance to really shine in a way to beat competition that's out there to get the job you want. You got to step up, because we do this for CEOs and top people around the world, and we have the evidence that it works.
How about one more person give us your introduction?
So, hi, I have a question.
Hi.
I have words, but I feel like these words are not so good. So my words are family, future, happiness, goals, and daughter, my daughter.
Why do you feel like they're not good?
I just feel like, how would I connect to more story and more professional?
What kind of job are you looking for?
Academic job.
Okay. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because Rebecca is luckily enough able to pull all these words together, aren't you, Rebecca?
I'll throw it to you for tall, small, and then you can
try it for
adjust it for yourself.
Sure.
Okay. Future. A lot of people know what they want in their future, but they're terrified to take that first step to get there, because they are terrified about what will other people think of them. How will people judge them? Will people look at them and think that they are not prepared? At Tall Small, we work with our family of clients to put them back into the shoes of the ages of our sons and our daughters, and show them how to find that childlike spirit. And once they find that voice, then all of a sudden they become comfortable sharing their stories in an authentic way. I'm Rebecca Klein with Tall Small Productions.
Now, obviously, that was done
way over the top.
Way over the top. You see what I'm saying? You got to tone that down if you're in an interview. But that's how to weave those words into. And you said, did you say you're looking for an academic position?
Yes.
Right. So, what kind of academic? Is a certain department, field?
MIS, information systems.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, just double checking. So you could talk about all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
How does this affect the future, your goals? Mm-hmm. This provides happiness because this is something you want to do. You are wanting to showcase, not only bring income, but you want to create a future for your daughter in technology, things move forward. All these things play into that role of what you're looking for.
And that you want to be loyal and be part of one family of professionals that you can grow with into the future.
Okay, makes sense.
And because you're leaving, you most likely have a daughter, you have the next generation, you're creating the world for this next generation.
That's a good one.
You know, and so that's the things people have to think about. You know, I'm going to be blunt. We get in these high academic worlds, what we call ivory towers, but we also forget that we're human beings, and so are the people working there. And our goals are human-based. We're not, we haven't advanced past the fact that we have families and we have partners and we have other things that we care and cherish. These are the things that when people near the end of their life, they don't say, well, I'm glad I became the associate dean or provost of this. They remember the time they spent with their daughter, the time they spent on the holidays with their family. Those are the memories.
And anytime people can laugh through situations, people learn better, they connect more. We were once working with a dermatologist at Johns Hopkins, and she was giving a PowerPoint at a national conference. And she was showing us all her slides, and it was dry. And she said she presented this before and no one could connect. But once she told stories, and these stories were at more of the second grade level than the high academic level, once she told stories to her audience, then they were better able to understand why her research mattered, why it was important.
Okay. Jane, we saw that you can share yours, and we are still looking for people. Jane Coons. How are you, Jane?
Good, thanks. Okay, so here's mine. My name is Jane Coons. I'm a researcher in mathematics working in algebraic statistics, and I'm especially excited about building collaborations to pursue mathematical inquiry and build our body of knowledge in algebraic stats. And I'm especially passionate about pursuing justice for marginalized people through math and making math more accessible to girls and young women.
Oh.
That's your intro.
That was awesome.
That was excellent. But Jane, that last part, that needs to be where you start, because your first part sounded polished and strong and confident. And Keith and I would have said it was great if it ended there. But when you talked about bringing it to marginalized groups and to girls, that makes you stand out.
And that's what piqued our interest. Right then we're like, whoa, okay. Why? Because it's like why do you want to do this in life? A lot of times people don't ask the question. Trust me, we've run into a lot of people that never have asked the question, but why do we do the jobs we do? Obviously, we've got to pay the rent, put food on the table, and help our children out. But in our hearts, why do we do these things? And that's what's in your heart.
Cool, thank y'all.
Thank you
very
much.
That was excellent. And that's something that you can put into emails when you're building your LinkedIn profile, or if you have it. The other key thing, and this is where a lot of interviews get into tricky spots, and we'll answer that next question in a moment, is how do you get out of the gate for the rest of the interview when people ask you questions and you're not sure how to answer them? That there's a trick, and it's the same trick that we used with the circle.
It's throwing one word out, very similar to the circle intros, because a lot of people will ask a question and someone will be, and they pause, and that sense of doubt, you see this all the time, that sense of doubt makes people wonder. Let's put it in a political spectrum. If Rebecca was a reporter and she asked me, I'm a politician, am I going to raise taxes?
Are you going to raise taxes this year?
Well, Well, we don't plan to raise taxes.
In other words, he's definitely going to raise taxes.
Mhm.
These filler words, the like, you know, and so, create all kinds of doubt. And we use them when we're filling the void while we're thinking about what we're going to say next.
But most people think, oh, they have no idea. So throw a word out there. Let's say Rebecca asks that question again. Ready?
Are you going to raise taxes in 2021?
Taxes. In 2021, we are going to make sure that we look at the tax code and come up with a fair distribution.
Did you notice the difference? All by getting rid of those words.
Because there isn't a stumbling block. If you say the word, it gets you traction. It goes back to that. And we do have a question.
Yes.
After this introduction,
do we need to talk about our technical skills? If you are asked about them. Now, chances are you will be. And this is where you want to use the same kind of language. Let's ask somebody about their technical skills, and we'll show you how to get out of the gate with it.
Mm-hmm. Are you looking for a volunteer, Rebecca?
am.
A vocal volunteer.
A vocal volunteer.
A vocal volunteer. Who wants to be a vocal volunteer? How about
Gurdeep?
Gurdeep. How about Veronica or Gurdeep? Are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good.
And Gurdeep, tell us a little bit about your background, what you're looking to do when you go interview for jobs, what type of field?
I'm an academic researcher, so I'll try a job in a college setting.
In a college setting, a job in a college setting?
Research, yeah, a university research setting.
Gotcha.
Okay. And what field of research?
Management or business.
Okay. We're going to do a mock interview with you, and you're going to practice getting out of the gate strong.
Wonderful.
Gurdeep, tell us about the most exciting research project you've worked on over the last 6 months.
You won't believe that, Veronica. I work on things that excite most of the people in the current times, and I work in diversity. Are you aware of the diversity that is in the social discussion circles these days?
Not as well as you are, it seems. Can you tell us more?
Oh yeah, I work on gender equality and diversity in organizations and how it impacts the organizational performance in those contexts.
Excellent.
You nailed it, man. I loved it. You grabbed our attention. You were fun. And you know what also you have a great ability to do? In your tone of your voice, there is a sense of energy. There's a sense that it's moving forward. It's like a tire spinning. I can feel it going forward.
The one suggestion for you is to slow down, because when you are on a virtual interview, there are all kinds of potential technical issues, time delays. One person might have a camera on, one may not, and then you don't have the body language. You want to go slowly. We're
in a world that's moving faster and faster, but the people that are successful in interviews go slower and slower. You need to, because here's the thing, when you say a word, people don't digest it. It's in the silence after the word is said that people digest the word. You have to go really slow, uncomfortably slow.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. And your body is going to fight you on that, because when you're nervous and your heart is racing, you're going to think that you're going slow when you're going high speed.
Thanks.
Let's have somebody else answer a mock interview question.
How about Lena Wang? Lena Wang, are you with us today? I like to present him on a game show. Lena Wang. Lena Wang's like, there is no way I'm going to
pretend I'm not here.
I'm going to talk to you. How about Jackie Chan? Jackie Chan. Oh,
sure, hit me with your question.
What did you say?
Ask me your question.
Oh, look at that.
I like that confidence.
Wow.
Before we formulate our question, we need to know a little bit about you.
I'm a recent graduate from U of T in industrial engineering doing operations research. And for me, it's all about making an impact. I care about finding novel ways to make significant, tangible improvements to the way we do things. Probably too fast, right?
A little fast, but that was
Fast, but
cool,
I liked
man.
it.
I love those fast. But so, what kind of impact are you trying to make on what?
Well, the way we do things, so anything really, coming up with new ways to improve the way we operate. So logistics, supply chain.
Okay, gotcha. I just want to make sure I'm on the right page. So if I came to you and said, I'd like a new way on how to take the trash out that's easier on Tuesday nights, you could help me?
If you're a big trash company trying to do this on a large scale, then sure.
I like this guy. It's good.
Question. If we gave you a $200 million grant and said you can run with any research project you've ever wanted to do, how would you spend the money?
I'll probably just go back into healthcare and keep with my research then.
You know what I love? Is you're completely honest. That would interest me as an interviewer. That was funny. Why do you do this compared to anything else? What got you interested in this field?
It's really creative because you just come up with anything goes really. Sure, the backbone is technology, it's math, it's technical, but on the high level, it's whatever you need to make it work.
Good answer.
One more. Do you have another interview question? We're obviously pretending we're interviewers. What's another question?
Where do you see yourself in 3 years?
Oh, I hate that question.
That's why we asked it.
Remember,
everybody hates that.
Remember, we're role playing here.
And if you said that to the interviewer, you might not get the job.
I keep getting asked that and I never have a good answer. I just want to continue doing what I'm doing now and just solving challenging problems and making an impact.
This is where it's good to have that back pocket answer, something that you can pull from. Maybe there's a topic you've always wanted to research. Or not.
Yeah,
or
not
not.
this time.
That's right, not that time. Well, think about that question because that is a good question. When people say, what do you want me to do in 3 years? You easily say, I want to be doing what I'm doing now, but I want to be doing it better. I want to be doing more of it, and I want to have more opportunity, more money, you name it.
You can talk about how you realize that you're going to be paying your dues for the first several years, but that you're excited years down the road to be able to be the one coming up with the research project ideas.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now, there's another part of the interview that some of you have likely had a session on in the past about how to present on camera. And there are a couple things that make how you show up on camera in a job interview far different from when you're delivering a presentation. You notice when Keith and I are talking with you, you can see our hands. You're not only seeing mug shots of us.
And we don't sit like this all the time either. But here's the deal. A lot of people, you only see their head. That's it. It's not really interesting. Imagine meeting someone for an interview at Starbucks in their office and all you see is their head. You would not have a dialogue with them. You wouldn't have much of a conversation with them. With us, you can see our arms, our hands, our legs, our full body. What does that allow us to do? Utilize 70% of all communication.
Because body language is 70% of communication. When you talk to someone on the phone, it's easy to stop paying attention, to check your email, to do something else. People feel that trickle off of engagement right through the phone. But when you can see us and you can see that we're fully engaged, you forget that we're on screen with you. And when you're doing a job interview, backing up a little, setting yourself up to mimic what it would have been like if you were sitting across from each other at the table, people are going to feel that and they're going to feel a connection to you.
Now let's talk about camera angles. Tons of people across the world, when they got into this whole COVID thing and started going to video calls, they decided the best way to do the video call is to do it on a laptop and have the pictures shooting up at them. It's the worst, most unflattering. You want to get into looks. Looks matter. A lot of people say, no, they don't really, but first impressions. Guarantee you, whenever you meet somebody, you make a judgment about that person in the first 5 seconds. And a lot of times it never goes away. It's the same thing on calls. When people first see you and you pop up and you're looking down at the video, most people don't get the most flattering response.
When we popped up here today, something popped into your heads about what this workshop would be like. We have thick skin. We want to hear your first impressions.
Some people are like, oh my, I don't know if I can handle these two people.
Here we go.
Or they're a little over the top, or oh, I think they're going to be good. You never win everybody in a crowd, but I guarantee you there's people out there that had an impression.
And we want to hear them.
And we are going to sit from now till the end of the session waiting.
Until Mario shares.
Mario McPherson.
Bright and appealing.
Well, we got them full.
Confident. Fake it till you make it.
Mario does not
I can
want...
say something.
Oh,
Go for it.
Who is this?
It's Başak.
Oh, wonderful.
Hello.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So I was thinking at first that this was going to be like maybe a PowerPoint presentation, but as soon as I saw you, you looked very like more relaxed, and I thought this is going to be more of an interactive conversation and at a more relaxed pace. That's what I thought.
Thank
You
you
are
very
correct.
much. And in 7 years, we have never done a PowerPoint.
No, in fact, back when we would go to live conferences, right?
Right.
The audio person would come into us, the audio-visual person, and say, do you need help getting your PowerPoint set? And say, we don't have one. Then that person's manager would come in and say, are you sure you don't have one? Then the general manager. People would never believe it, because how many people run down the hallway to get front row seat?
Yeah, PowerPoints, and we understand many times in the academic, mathematical, and other
They're
PowerPoints,
important.
you need to utilize them. But we're in a public speaking communication world. That would make a lot of sense if we had a PowerPoint.
And we had a question come up, I believe.
We did have
or
a question.
Statement.
We did have a question.
If in an interview I don't know an answer to a question which is not open-ended, should I attempt to answer it based on intuition? Or should I be honest that I don't know the answer, considering that it will downplay the chances of getting hired? Shabazz, if you are asked a specific number or something where they're looking for you to do an equation on the spot or come up with a number and you don't know the exact number, it's best not to fake it, because people can sniff through that. It's better to, at that point, say, I'm going to give you a thoughtful answer on that. I will get back to you tomorrow by noon with an email. And that way you can show the people that you take that seriously, because the best employees don't always know the answers to questions.
But if it's the content one, you can use your intuition and go to the best case scenario. If it's not life or death in terms of an answer is like a true or false, you have 50-50. But this one, there's a variable. It's like writing an essay. Go for it. But if it's a true or false where you have a chance to really just bomb it, wait and tell them you'll get back with them with the answer.
The best thing is to be real. There was a CEO who would take all potential employees out for breakfast pre-COVID. And he would make arrangements with the waiter to bring his applicants the wrong meal. So let's say Keith ordered French toast. He would
And I love French toast.
That's why I did that
Thank
one.
you.
And he might bring Keith eggs. And the test was, should Keith say this is the wrong order, or should he go ahead and eat the eggs?
And there's two things. If I go ahead and just eat the eggs, what shows that I'm just going to brush things under the carpet. I'm going to just ignore it, not speak up. What kind of employee am I if I never speak up? What value am I adding? But on the flip side, if I turn to the waiter or waitress and say, what the heck? Why? I ordered French toast and now I got eggs. It shows I'm really a rude person, and you don't want them either. It's the person that says, I really appreciate that you brought French toast out, but I ordered eggs. That's the person they hire. And that's the trick in understanding the personalities.
And Shabazz, going back to yours, it takes courage and strength when you don't know to say, I don't have that answer. I will get back to you on it. That way you're showing that you are not afraid to go do the work to get it done.
But never use the phrase, I don't know, because no one's expected to know everything. Say, I can find that information for you. You don't want to ever say, I don't know, because it makes it sound like it's not in your brain. It is in your brain. The factual part is memorization. The key to being successful is knowing where to find the information.
Other questions or thoughts?
I love that. You capture my attention all the time.
Thank you, Veronica. We'll take a picture of that, and
Yeah.
that'll pump us up every day.
Exactly. That'll be our morning routine, to wake up with fire.
Now, something that people also ask us is, what should I wear? It's a virtual interview. What do I wear? Should I wear the suit jacket only on top and wear jeans or shorts on the bottom? And even though the camera may not show what's on the bottom, you always want to wear head to toe what you would wear if it had been an in-person interview.
Yeah, because when you do the half and half deal, it does not work. Because here's the thing, clothes make you feel a certain way. That's why people have uniforms. They allow a person to feel a certain way. And if you're wearing sweatpants or whatever and a fancy jacket, you're going to feel odd because no one wears that.
And chances are you're going to slump down in your chair. You're not going to portray yourself in the same confident way you would if you were fully dressed.
And Wendy, a good way to practice interviews is to work with tall, small. No, I'm just kidding. That was a shameless plug. But what's the best way? Find a friend, someone else that can play a role and have them ask you the most ridiculous, crazy questions. Because the key, I like that you laughed at that too, but the key is doing it and having repetition, constantly having questions thrown at you and having the ability to think on your feet nonstop. Find someone that'll throw the questions out to you nonstop. And the faster, and then you have to be questions about the job. Tell you the truth, it's all about your speed on your feet.
And here's what not to do. Even though you might be tempted, and there are lots of consultants out there who will do this, never record yourself doing a practice interview. Never, because what you're going to do is when you get to the real one, you're going to constantly be comparing yourself, replaying how you answered the questions before in your head. And that's when you get that deer in the headlight looks, because your self-talk will be interrupting you the entire time.
What you're going to be doing is thinking, man, I was so good at home. I taped myself and I knocked these questions out. Now I'm just blowing this interview. And once that ball starts rolling, you cannot stop the rock from going down the hill. Another question, if you need one. We always need a question.
What to do about eye contact? Look at the camera, look at the person's face on your screen.
You want to look at the camera, because if you look at the face, there's so many different angles of where people are sitting. But if you look at the camera, you're guaranteed to be looking at the person in some shape or form, because the camera eye, which you see on your, for example, we're looking at our phone camera eye or your laptop, that's the face and eye of the person.
And by having a broader shot, not only are you going to communicate better with your body language, but it helps with eye contact, because the reason why we get Zoom fatigue, we were counseling a client who has an all-day meeting today interviewing for a job with CarMax, and she was terrified of getting Zoom fatigue. But when you have a broader shot, your eyes, the person looking at you is going to blink less and they're going to feel more awake. And when both people have that broader shot, you're going to stay more engaged longer.
So find the camera, put a little point to it so you can remember where it is on your phone or on your laptop if you can't see it clearly, and look directly at that. Doesn't mean though you have to stare at it like this.
No, because that would also look awkward.
Then you're going to look like a freak. You have to have once in a while look away, because that's normalcy.
And if you find yourself constantly staring at yourself, because there's the temptation to look at your hair, look at your face, wonder if your shirt is wrinkled, take a Post-it note and put it on top of your image once you've previewed your shot to make sure it looks good. That way you're not going to stare at yourself the whole time.
And Rebecca, you bring up a great point.
Why, thank you.
See, that's how we do the morning show. Previewing yourself. A lot of people hook up the camera, jump on, the set looks horrible behind them, there's stuff
It's
everywhere.
interesting chapter. Virtual interview.
Well, thank you, Sandy. Was that a comment or a question?
Or an accidental unmute. I'm not sure.
I know, I'm just having fun. But the fact is, check your camera shot out ahead of time. Make sure the lighting is right. Make sure the angle is right. Make sure you don't have a lot of noise. Just take a basic chance. You get out to have an interview, you don't roll out of bed and roll into someone's office back in the day. You check yourself out and make sure you look good. Do the same on the camera. It's that simple.
And here's a hack that you should always have with you.
Hack time.
Hack time. Because when you're asked a question and you don't know the answer and you want to buy yourself a moment of time, if you have a glass of water or coffee or anything next to you, pick it up, take a slow sip, and put it down. That buys you about 3 seconds to think for a moment, and then you can answer with confidence.
You see this on the morning shows, whether it's Good Morning America or Late Night with, well, Jay Leno's not there anymore. And to tell you the truth, I'm that old, I have no idea who's doing the late shows anymore.
We are long asleep.
Right by that. But late shows, they have coffee or a drink or something because that buys people time, especially when someone answers or they have a guest that they thought would be a better communicator than they are. They have a chance to buy some time.
We often see this in presidential debates too, although we didn't see it.
Yeah.
Someone must have vetoed any drinks for the first debate. We didn't see that happen. Other questions?
Yes, a morning show was my first impression.
We've heard that before.
Maybe we should get on a morning show. Anyway.
We did create a set to have that morning show vibe because we wanted to make people feel awake and energized and happy.
Other questions? Body language, we're going to touch on that. 70% of communication.
And we mentioned the hands, how you want to be able to see your hands, because your hands are your top tools when it comes to body language. And a lot of people say to us, I have no idea what to do with my hands. I keep them in my pockets. What do I do? And the weird part is, you've had your hands for your entire life. Let them be natural. When you show your palms to the person who's interviewing you, it shows, not like this, not like a penguin walk, but when your palms come out, you're showing that person that you're open to ideas, that you're receptive to constructive criticism. But when you watch certain debates, and you'll notice certain people will do this, and they'll create a barrier, a wall. When your palms are facing back to yourself, it shows that you've closed down.
Somebody wrote, they said they want you to do that penguin walk again.
This one?
Yeah, I'm just making that up. That was good. And 70% of all communication is body language. And you know this, you go out walking down the street, you see somebody on the other side of the sidewalk, you can tell they've had a bad day, a good day. You can even tell if you get along with the person, right? Because we're all judgmental. It is how we are. And there's some people who think, well, I am never judgmental. I guarantee that I could find somewhere you're judgmental.
We are wired to have judgment because it's how we have self-protection. Now let's say that Keith is interviewing me and he asks if I can start on Monday, okay? And if I do this, what do you think that means? If I say, sure, I can start Monday.
Rebecca starts doing the famous chin rub, developed in Morristown, New Jersey in 1874.
And that's called BS.
Right? But the chin rub, if you see somebody doing this, that means they're hesitant. What it really means is they're self-soothing, calming themselves down. Their heart is starting to pound fast, and they're like, oh man, I got to calm this down. Right? And they're doing this to just remove the stress. For you, for me, I'm interviewing Rebecca. I can tell she is not 100% sure about this job.
Right, because I'm doing this. And they're cousins of this. A lot of women will reach into their suit and rub their collarbone and arm, play with hair. Men will touch their faces often. You don't want to show anything to show that you're hesitating. And a way you can get rid of that tendency is to curl and uncurl your toes, because chances are the interviewer cannot see your toes.
We have a couple of questions that came in while you were talking.
Summer Jackson, what are good questions to ask the employer? At the end, I usually get asked, do you have questions for us?
Don't ask, hey, when's vacation start?
No.
Or how much sick time do I get?
Or when can I get a promotion? Or do you give end of year bonuses?
These are questions not to ask. What is a good question? We always find that one of the best questions to ask is, ask the employer, why did you get involved in this field? Why do you do what you do? What motivates you every day to come to work? Throw it back to them. Figure out what drives that person, because it's really good when you give your follow-up note or email to the person, you can reference what they said.
Also, people are vain at heart. They love talking about themselves. And when you give the interviewer a chance to talk about him or herself, they're probably not used to that happening. And they're going to feel an even stronger connection to you.
But most of the times, people are cut out of opportunities for jobs when they don't have any questions, because they think, all this discussion and you can't formulate a question. So don't say that. You're not, a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to ask them a question because that's just going to waste their time. They want a question. Trust me, they want a question. So then we have another question. So is it recommended? I'm getting an eye check here next week, guys,
yes.
so I'm having a hard time reading sometimes. But so is it recommended not to fold your hands if hands are seen? No, you certainly can
You
fold
can
your
fold
hands.
them in between. It shows that you're listening. One of the tricks that Keith and I use, because when we first started presenting together, we would interrupt each other. We'd step on top of each other. Sometimes Keith would walk in front of me and I couldn't see the audience. Until we developed a system of what to do. When I'm talking, my hands are open. And then when I stop,
my hands open. Therefore, using your peripheral vision, you can look and notice. Rebecca notices that I'm talking and she's not going to talk. When I do this, then she knows, oh, she talks, and vice versa. So both of us then know, okay, it's okay to talk, because the worst thing is in group interviews, people talking on top of each other. And I think we have some more questions jumping in here, or maybe these are the same ones.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, could we use notes on the side, particularly for prepared answers? What would be a best place to have these notes? The biggest thing is, this is going to sound crazy, don't make your notes invisible, because what happens is, let's say you suddenly saw me looking over here. You can't see what I'm looking at. And that might make an interviewer think, is he or she checking email? What are they doing? If you're going to have notes, make sure the notebook is in the shot.
And let the person that's interviewing you know what's on the notebook. Many times people have a notebook. The whole time the person's trying to figure out, or a laptop, what are they doing over there? Let them know, I brought some notes in for this interview.
And I'm going to take down some notes as we're talking.
Have disclosure. Sticky notes, I'd suggest you just stick them all on your arm, so you're ready.
Maybe on your face too. No.
I don't like sticky notes. It just sounds tacky. Bring a notebook. I have something like that.
Because if you put sticky notes all around the laptop, and we've seen people do this, then it makes you look completely crazy, because it makes you look like you're looking over here, then over here. Some people put big posters on their walls, and all it does is it makes it look as though their eyes are wandering. The other person doesn't know they're looking at.
Bring a notebook. Keep it simple. Next question from Mr. or Mrs. Anonymous. How could I start preparing for interviews? I know it's important to prepare for interviews. People told me that I need to know everything on my resume and prepare a 1, 3, or 5 minute story for each thing I put in. Wait, you see, this is overkill.
Yes,
this is
way overkill.
Human beings don't think this way, right? This is not how you think. You already know what you know. I guarantee you can't cram much more, and if you do cram, it's going to sound fake.
When you go to coffee or lunch with a friend, you don't prepare what you're going to say. One time, I'll never forget this. We went to coffee with a guy who worked for a rival company, communications company. And he opened a notebook and began reading his questions to us. It sounded completely fake. He would say, do you mind if I start by asking you a few questions about yourself?
We finally had to say, like, can we just talk normal?
Can we put your paper away?
Just talk like human beings. You don't have to go overkill and prepare. And I know people here in academic world and have prepared all your life and studied for tests and exams and have written things out and have memorized things. I understand that's the world you're in. But when you interview, it's a whole different world. Even though you're interviewing possibly in an academic setting, you are figuring out if you fit in for a team. And if you had to prepare that much and be that fake, you wouldn't want to work there.
What you can do, and a good exercise to do, is to write down a few key bullet points, but don't write more than what could fit on the back of a business card. The act of writing some of those out helps them sink into your brain, and that way you know these are some of the key points I want to hit, if that helps you to have that, but you don't need it. Other questions? Another body language while we're waiting for a question. A lot of people say, this is my comfort, to cross my arms in front of me.
And if you're at home and we can't see you, but try this, cross your arms, because we're going to give you a challenge to do.
Yes, we are.
Now what we want you to do is cross your arms the opposite way.
With the other arm on top.
This is a great challenge for people that don't like change, because this makes people feel what? Uncomfortable. If you're doing this, it's like, whoa, I don't like that. I want to go back to the old way. That's a key thing to do once in a while when you realize you're getting stuck in a rut. Oh, I love this question. But crossing your arms, don't do it. Makes you look defensive. Don't cross your legs. Makes you look defensive. Why? Because you're blocking yourself off.
Tulay asks, what do you think about virtual backgrounds? We can't stand them. Even though there are some gorgeous oceanfront ones, you can appear anywhere you want. But the problem is they're fake, and it looks fake. And if people see fakeness in one area, it robs you of some of your authenticity in others.
It's not just us. LinkedIn did a study and went around and interviewed employers on what they thought about them when they did interviews, and other businesses and meetings, and most people, I would say 70% of people came out and said, I don't like them and I feel like I'm talking to a fake individual. Oh, this happens to us too all the time. Oh my
goodness, especially when COVID first hit. What should we do if an unexpected technical issue or event in our room occurs?
Here's the thing not to do. Not to have, our video went out twice here so far. I could have said, oh man, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize, blah, blah, blah. You're only drawing attention to yourself. Similar, if you come to class late, which I'm sure nobody here has ever done, you do not want to come into the back of class and be like, I'm so sorry, I'm late, and blast it out. You just want to go find a seat and sit down, right? You don't want to draw attention. Same thing here. Just fix the problem, move forward. Explain to people, my system went out, I fixed it, I've moved forward.
Because what you don't want to do is have the person remember you by what technical snafu happened. You want them to instead remember, wow, when a problem occurs, this person knows how to jump right back on his or her feet.
And remember, it's a technical issue. This is not a bomb dropping on your head. This is not something that is life or death, okay? Your computer dropped out, you lost Wi-Fi, you go and get it back again. There's no need to get panicked or freaked out. And that's the thing, people do that and they leave a long-term impression.
Let's do takeaways.
Absolutely, I love takeaways.
We want to hear some things that you've taken from this session that you are going to put to use.
I have some takeaways.
Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. Riza, I believe it is pronounced.
Yeah. I think the most important things, I can just go through them fastly. What makes the question that what makes me to get up in the morning? This question is very important. Actually, it's kind of inspiring for me, not just for the interview, for the daily life. Right. And the point that you said, talking
slowly,
actually it's in my favor because I always talk slowly.
Perfect.
And it's good to know that in virtual meetings it's on my benefit. And the camera angle, I have never considered it, which is very important. Being energetic and confident, being real. So when I don't know the answer of a question, like saying that, not saying I don't know, just saying that I can find the answer for you. Looking at the camera to create, to have the eye contact, or don't just recording myself and practicing kind of a template presentation for myself. And like having a bottle of water or coffee to like take a sip and having time to think about the question. The body language, which is very important, like showing the hands open.
You're amazing. I mean, you just nailed every one of those things.
Every one thing on our agenda.
Have you come teach a course for us?
I wanted to, the first part, I didn't say anything. I was just listening. If somebody asks these questions from me, I'm looking for a faculty job, but I'm open for industrial jobs as well. I think for both of the jobs, the thing that I say as like a mutual, showing my personality, I have a dream to pursue, to be a professor. But I have also a dream to help people to achieve their full potential, to achieve their dreams, and impact on other people's lives. So I
Right.
have a dream to like get a Nobel Prize. When you said that in 3 years where you see yourself, maybe not getting the Nobel Prize, but I see myself to get like $1 million NIH grant or NSF
Right.
grant if I'm a professor. Or I see in 4 years that I'm graduating my first PhD student if I'm a professor, things like that.
Excellent.
So
I
thank
love
you.
that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I love that your dream for 3 years out, and I love the enthusiasm and what you talked about is that you can become that human, and you can use this for your job, but it's also, as you said, for life, for inspiration. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a few other comments. One, a takeaway is to humanize the robotic
And I
environment.
love that phrase,
Yes.
humanize the robotic environment. You know, it's on. You have to stand firm. You can go the other way and do a very robotic interview and just keep this legacy going, or you have a chance to change it. And we want to be on the side of change.
And we never want everyone to be like everybody else. A lot of people will say, but this is how everybody does it. But are they doing it well? And are people talking about it? No. Wendy says,
I need to figure out how to be faster in my responses in interviews, but how to contain my nervousness, which blocks the faster responses.
how to contain your nervousness. Acknowledge before the interview to yourself, hey, I'm feeling nervous. Have something to eat or drink that's going to center you. Have some calming tea or some water. Something else you can do is to tap here before the interview begins, and that helps to mellow you out. You don't want the interviewer to see you doing that.
You know, in nerves, it's a flight or fright situation. You know, do I run or do I fight? And it's the same thing when you're doing an interview. And side on the side of fighting and fight for your opportunity. Do not run. If you're in the forest and you see an animal that's threatening, you can either fight it or you can run. It's no different. As human beings, we have not changed that much. It's the same thing in an interview. Decide to fight. And in that fight is where you'll gain strength.
And do something for yourself that you enjoy before the interview. Something physical. If you like to walk, do that. If you like to run, dance. But do something that's going to get your blood moving, because that's going to add color to your cheeks and make you look even more energetic than you already are.
Tracy, I love your story about the water spilling everywhere. And that is true. Place it somewhere that it's not. And if it does spill all over you, do not freak out and get so upset, because guarantee you every human being has spilled water over themselves somewhere. Have fun with it.
Or have a straw cup.
Laugh it off. Do not apologize. We have another one. The core word and the 4 supporting words describe my authentic. That's where I would be making the first impression. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you.
You are welcome, and thank you for being part of it today.
And spread that word to people. Spread that word. As a non-native speaker, my fear would be to not sound professional.
With grammar mistakes that I can potentially make. What do you think about it? Do you have any suggestions? Number 1 is whether English is your first or third language. Everybody makes mistakes. We all do it. It's okay. If you make one, move on. People understand. People will far more be endeared to someone who sounds authentic and is revealing something about themselves than someone who reads more like a resume.
Here's my thought on that. I only speak one language. I have tried other languages. I can't seem to pull it off. If you come from another country, another land, and speak another language and have learned English or another language, to me, you got my respect, because you are brilliant compared to what I've been able to accomplish if I was interviewing you. Most people have respect for people that have taken the time and have learned and studied a new language. Would not ever worry about that.
And never apologize. One time we were doing a session with PayPal employees throughout all of Asia, and there was a guy on who had just started learning English maybe 6 months ago, and he kept apologizing. And we pulled him aside and said, look, you are out there trying. You're speaking in a non-native language to you. That deserves applause. Doesn't matter if it doesn't come out exactly right.
Any other questions, thoughts, suggestions, takeaways? your last minutes with tall, small here.
Yes.
Last minutes. Any other takeaways, questions, suggestions, ideas?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a quick question, just logistically. How are y'all using, like, getting that camera angle? Like, did you get a tripod for that, or do you, like, I don't really have something to set my laptop on, so I'm curious if you guys have any good suggestions for getting a great
Yes.
angle.
Number one, ditch the laptop for the camera if you can. We are using a ring light, which comes with a tripod in the middle of it. We'll send a link to it to Tracy to share. You can also put your phone in a windowsill and it can function as a tripod. Before we have the ring light, we would put either our laptop or phone up on a bunch of coffee table books to add the height.
We typically tell people to, if they're standing or sitting, put the phone or camera a foot above their head so that you're looking up to it, because the best impression, the best look is when the camera is shooting down. If you are looking down on the camera, it gives the impression to people that you're looking down on them. So find a way, and here's another thing, I don't know, did we mention this or not, but the best lighting, besides a ring light, and it's better than a ring light, is the natural light that comes from a window. Don't have the window behind you, because then no one can see you. But put the camera or laptop in the window, you look out the window with the camera facing you, and therefore the light will go across your face and body, and the camera will then pick that up.
And the natural light becomes a filter that prevents all of the shadows and bags under the eyes that show up when we try to put on a side lamp or overhead lit. And thank you, Pam, who says, great idea on how to avoid filler, sounds, and words with a meaningful word to help you focus your thoughts.
But the camera, try to get it higher than you are. If you're standing, get it a foot higher. It always makes a better thing. And I do suggest, we both suggest using your phone. Typically the technology, most phones, is for the camera is better than the laptop. So you're going to have a stronger picture.
And quickly, anything can become a tripod. We've used a mug behind our phone. Grab anything in your house that weighs more than the phone and prop it up.
Yes. And from Susan, that was a great presentation, very helpful, though I have another meeting started and they had, I think, could not leave this workshop. I opened back up my phone. I wish I had.
Well, the good news is this is recorded, Susan.
There you go.
I'm sure Tracy can help you get to the recorded version for the other part. And
Thank you for your comments. Wonderful.
And thank you all for having us today. Thank you to Tracy. And thank you to Tele as our sponsor.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you.
And I also want to say one takeaway. I think besides all what you have told us during the webinar, I also took away what you did. Like, you didn't even pause when you were talking, or you look so confident. Like, if I were an interview, I would really hire you right now, even regardless what you're saying.
Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to us.
Thank you for your kind comments. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We wish everybody the best, and we all wish that you get the job of your, or the career of your dreams.
Yes, and stay safe, everyone.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be well, everyone.